How's it going, guys? Matt here with Code Tech Tutorials. Today we're just going to look at some programmer humor and have some fun with it. It's been a while since I did one of these. I usually do something like this every 1,000 subs or so, and it's been more than that. And I kind of missed the 8,000 special videos, so I guess this is it. And we're just going to look at some programming memes and humor, and it's basically going to turn into explain that humor. And yes, my glasses are messed up. Don't worry, I'm getting new ones soon. And okay, so the meme about this programmer humor right now is that new programmers come here and don't actually understand the memes and just kind of laugh at them like, pretending they understand them. So we're going to explain all of these, at least as many as I can manage to. All right, and so I started recording this about 10 minutes ago, and then I realized that my mic was off, and I face palmed really hard and started over. So let's sigh. Alright, typical thoughts of software engineers. Alright, 2020, this meeting could have been an email. Yeah, that's always really annoying, isn't it? When people or your manager or whoever is like, we have a meeting, I got an announcement to make. Yeah, you could just email it. Unless you need to have a discussion around the subject that requires like input now and critical time limit and all that, probably don't need a meeting. I feel like there should be more emails and less meetings in general. People get it. Emails are nice. 2021. This meeting could have been a simple chat message. This entire department could be replaced with a Python script. Things like Discord and Slack and, being able to just group people and send a message, it's so nice. Alright, well, can you really replace entire departments with Python scripts? It depends what they do. Probably a lot of them, truthfully. Abandon all Hobie who enter. Okay, this is the software equivalent of a message smeared on the walls in blood. Dear programmer, when I wrote this code, only God and I knew how it worked. Now only God knows. Therefore, if you're trying to optimize this routine and it fails, most surely, please increase the counter as a warning for the next person. Total hours wasted here. 254. That's a lot of hours. Okay, so does this really need any explaining? It is kind of true that once you write something really complicated and it works and you just kind of walk away and you leave it as a function, you're like, okay, you need to do this thing, just call this function. How does it work? Well, it's complicated. So that's the thing. It's all about headspace. You can't keep really complicated things in your head forever. You usually need to piece it in steps. So I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this other than, comments can be really useful because of that type of thing, and you usually forget exactly what you did later. So, and then if you're the one who wrote it and understood it, and you're having trouble understanding it again, just imagine someone who has no idea at all. So this explains a lot. Alright, let's console go burr. Debugging, console log here. Programmers taking the console log here. Yeah, you gotta debug sometimes though. Console log actually works pretty good. The real problem with console log, in my opinion at least, is that it muddies up your code basically. And then when you're ready to move forward and release it and there's no reason for console log to be there, debugging would have been better. And you can't really, well, I guess there's some ways you can do it, but it's really hard to write tests with console log, because with debugging you can just check what variables are and if they're correct. It's nice to get it in errors and a nice test system. So debugging, I don't know where I'm going with this. There's console log here is not that bad. It's a very novice thing because you just end up with really messy code and having to think about a whole lot more things. With just debugging, it's just like a breakpoint where you think the problem is, see what the variables are set to, and then you don't have to include more stuff. And it's just, in the long run, it's actually more simple to debug than it is to console log. It's just when you're new and you don't really understand debugging too well, console log seems easier because at least you understand that. I don't know if that's going to make sense to everybody, but that's my interpretation of it. Instructions unclear, got a dozen milk bottles. Dear parents, be aware of the early signs that your child will become a developer. Write the following words in alphabetical order, the order they came in the alphabet. Okay, so it's got a list of words. Oh, the kid actually rearranged the letters in the word apple, AELPP. He rearranged each word with the letters that come first in the alphabet to be first. That's kind of brilliant, but that is what the instructions say, isn't it? Write the following words in alphabetical order, the order they come in the alphabet. I can see how the kid interpreted it that way, but obviously that's not what they meant. It's cool. All right, there we go. Yep. I'm a genius. Give me that promotion. I'm a moron. Please do not fire me. Every few minutes. This is pretty accurate. Okay, so this is a metronome that just ticks back and forth. For those that need explaining, it's basically to keep timing for things like drummers and musicians and stuff. It just ticks back and forth. So yeah, they're explaining the meme. This is what programming feels like a lot of days. Sometimes you feel like you solved a really hard problem that you're surprised, you're surprised yourself that you could solve it. And then other days you get stuck on really simple things that you're like, how am I getting stuck on this? And then you realize what the answer is and you're like, oh my gosh, I've been working on this for 2 hours and it's just one little thing. Yeah, it's interesting. So what do you make of this? What do you do when this happens? I don't know. Usually, when you feel like you're not understanding something, you either need to take a break, take a rest, like a real rest, or you need deeper understanding. So usually what I like to do if I'm not understanding something that I know is simple is, well, I guess it depends on my level of motivation, but typically if I want to get to the answer, I need to go read or study more about the problem and the underlying concepts behind the problem, and then like rest, and then usually it clicks later. So, and if it doesn't, it doesn't, but yeah, those typical things, and just exercise too. Going for a run or a walk can make a pretty big difference too. But sometimes there's really nothing you can do except time and keep working at it, and eventually it'll click. And yeah, you'll have that I'm a genius moment more often. But it happens. It's pretty normal even for really good developers. All right, here we go. I frequently have this argument with my code. My code better start doing what I want instead of doing what I'm telling it to do. Doing what I want instead of what I'm telling it to do. Okay. Yeah, it is really frustrating when you know what you want your code to do, you code it up, you feel like you got it right, but it does something else. You just gotta go through your logic. Sometimes, I don't know, for me at least, sometimes when I think about something and then I write it out in code and I think, okay, perfect, that's gonna do. When I actually run it, it does something different. Usually there's just some little logic error I made, like I used it and instead of an or something like that, or I have one thing in the wrong order that shouldn't be happening yet, or something like that. So this can be complicated, but yeah, sometimes you just need to redo your logic and think about it again. I don't know what to say about it other than it happens. It goes along with this same meme basically. Oh boy, it's code review time. Typing continuously for 3 years on the homepage will crash the tab. What? Typing continuously for 3 years on the homepage will crash the tab. 3 years? How are you typing for 3 years on a home? That's crazy. Obviously that shouldn't happen though. It shouldn't do anything because the keys should be ignored. I don't know what the program is, but it just sounds a little weird. All right, here we go. Another meme. I prefer the cute way. Step, debug, breakpoints. Big boy cat. It's kind of a chunky cat. It's probably not in the wild. It's probably in a zoo or something. Console log here. I don't know why I'm interpreting that out of the meme rather than the code stuff, but all right, console log here, or the whole debug sequence. I don't know what else to say about this. The console log just looks ugly in production. You can't ship it like that. That's the real annoyance, just having to go remove all of those at some point just to realize you might need them again and then add it back in. It just makes things really complicated when just the debug is much easier in general in the long run, because you don't have to worry about finding the place to put console log. You can just quickly go breakpoint where you want and step through. It's the step, debug, breakpoint is way easier actually than console log. Console log is it causes a lot more brain power used than the main way. There's a reason why there's step, debug, and breakpoints, and it's because it is in the long run better. Declare variables, not war. Just Notepad++ notes or version. Declare variables, not war. Make apps, not war. What is it with software developers getting all political with their development notes? It's like they have something to say and don't know where else to put it. This happened somewhere else recently too, with some game update. Someone was putting all these political messages in their game updates. I forget what game it was. It just seemed weird in my opinion. What are you doing? What's the point? I'm gonna be honest, when someone does this, it makes me think they have issues. Like they need to see a therapist or something. It's like, do you not have anyone to discuss this stuff with? I mean, I get it, some people are lonely, but this is just not the place. Maybe they just need a place for it. I think the best thing to do, honestly, if you're feeling like saying all this stuff, is probably to make a throwaway anonymous account somewhere and say it that way. Maybe, I wouldn't, maybe not even that, maybe that's not a good idea, but if you gotta get it out somewhere, but it's like controversial, political stuff, you don't actually want to attach to your name. Because that's all you can do. I don't know. I don't really care about politics. It's not my thing. I think that they're kind of annoying and a waste of time. Alright. And we get paid for doing so. What is this? Designers. Look, we have similar ideas. No, you stole my idea. Programmers. Man, I stole your code. It's not my code. Oh, okay, that's pretty good. Yeah, most code is interpreted. Well, not most code. It depends what it is. Because, you know, if you're writing your own unique thing and you're not going off of anything except for, like, I don't know, maybe the documentation of how things work, or, well, maybe not, you don't even need that. Coding's a different animal, because sometimes things are so hard that you can literally can't figure out how to do it until you see an example and you're like, oh, perfect, there it is, and you just copy paste, because why retype the exact same letters again? So stealing code is definitely different than stealing ideas in that way. But then again, if it's a tiny little snippet here and there, it's a different thing to like do a certain thing. But if it's a whole file, that's when it's like, okay, that's a bit much. All right. When are we ever going to use this? Learning quadratics calculus so I can pass math and not tanked by GPA. Relearning calculus with nothing but Google and YouTube to do something cool in a dumb hobby scripting project. Kind of a hot take here, but your dumb hobby scripting project is more important than your GPA. Because your GPA is like nothing. It's just like, it gets thrown into a pool of, okay, here's everybody's GPAs, but it doesn't actually mean anything. It doesn't go out into the world. Nobody's ever to make use of that. You're just doing assignments that already have answers. But with your hobby scripting project, it's probably a new, unique thing that people are gonna like actually have some takeaway from. So yeah, it's actually way more important. And this is another point. I'm not sure exactly how to make it, but basically you tend to learn and remember when you actually have a use for the things you're learning. And that's the problem with school in a lot of ways, is a lot of the stuff they're teaching you, you have no use for. Your only actual reason to learn it is to get a grade, and your grade doesn't really do anything other than you can put it on your resume and said, I'm this good at that thing based on this grade. Whereas with a project, it's like, I wrote this, I did this, and I used these concepts. It's like, that's better than a GPA usually, or any score. So, I don't know. Interesting. All right. Well, anyway, let's move on. Relatives / friends, as soon as you tell them, oh, so you like programming, make me a website then. Okay, it's home. I tend to just ignore friends and relatives asking me to do stuff for them, or saying, oh, I have an idea. Will you do this? I don't even respond anymore, because it's always like, well, they just drag it out. They'll just go on for hours and days and hours and days, and you're like just staring at them like, what do you want from me? You just want to hash your idea out to me? Just, no, it's a different thing if you already know what you want and you're like, okay, here's my design. Can you do it? And, you know, how much do you want to do this? Or they make you an offer. You know, if you just like get down to business and say, I want it done, then awesome. I'd love to do it. But if you just want to like hash your idea back and forth forever, I'm not interested. I'm here to program, not to listen to you babble about your design. Just give me the design. I don't care what your design is. I could just program it. I don't really want to redesign your design or care. But yeah, I don't know if that makes a whole lot of sense, but it's really actually quite frustrating when people want to just talk design all day. It's like, I'm not a designer. I'm a programmer. You give me the design that you came up with and I'll make it into a thing that works. I don't care what your design is. I'm just going to follow the instructions. That's all I want. I just want to follow the instructions. I don't want to write the Okay. All right. I'll move on. But does anybody else feel that way? All right. After debugging for 2 hours when a programmer finally fixed the bug. Okay. Yeah, I guess having a bug is kind of like falling down, and when it gets, I don't know. People just gotta find a way to use that meme for everything. That's all there is to make it. It does feel really good to recover from an error or an annoying bug. Or yeah, I guess that's all that means. How can exist someone that can fully understand how a script works just by reading it? What? You can say the same about that sentence. Alright, when you fully understand how a script works just by reading it. I don't know what the problem is. Yeah. You do feel kind of cool, don't you? Yeah, I can get it. Man, Homer looks pimp there. Am I allowed to say that? Alright. Probably last one. Different grammars be like that. When programmers meet anti-grammars at the office. Alright, I'm gonna be honest, I don't get this one. What do they mean by anti-grammars? Just non-programmers? Just people that aren't programmers? Why would you be hitting them? I don't get it. Anyone want to explain this to me? Different grammars be like that. I don't follow. I kind of get what they're going for, I think. But geez, if you think like this, like, good luck getting a job. You're gonna be that one bitter person that everyone's gonna be like, can we get rid of old Sammy? A real stick in the mud. No one wants to work with. Don't be that guy. Alright. Wondering what verse we will be praying. Prayers in Latin, prayers in Hebrew, prayers in Aramaic, prayers in C. That's when you gotta bust out the Holy See. Alright, I said last one, but we keep going. Good advice. What would be the best way to get into programming for a noob? Don't. Obviously that's not a good answer, but I don't know. I think just pick some small projects. Do a Google search for small, easy programming projects and pick a language and try to do them. And maybe get help from someone more experienced and ask for a walkthrough. Or, controversial, go on YouTube and type whatever language project tutorial for beginners or something. And there's so many tutorials out there that'll walk you from steps from absolutely no knowledge to some completed small thing. And those are really great for getting an initial launch point because you kind of start to understand the setup, what the basic tools are you need, and it's all in walkthrough form. And I make some of those here on this channel. So it actually kind of bothers me that people ask questions like this because the answer is so obvious. And yeah, the answer is just really obvious. That's the answer to 90% of my YouTube comments is Google it, man. Why are you asking me? I'm not going to give you a better answer than Google will. Probably not anyway. That's, not always true, but yeah, 9 out of 10 times probably is. And I think most people realize that. All right. Last one for sure. That's what my code has to be like for me to consider myself a senior. If A equals true, return true. Else if A equals false, return false. Do I even need to explain this one? I guess I will. Why don't you just return A? Just return A. All right? That's the joke here. Because, well, that's with all the comparisons. It is what it is already. Just return it, and you got your true or false. All right. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys are doing well. Take care of yourselves, and I appreciate you guys. So let's see you in the next one. And peace out. And leave your ideas for videos down below, because I'm kind of running out. Or series and stuff. All right, peace, guys.